Welcome to the Cricket 8 podcast. We're going to be talking India-Pakistan, and I apologize if my voice goes out in the middle of this, but I felt like I spent a lot of time yelling during the watch-along because of the many bits of drama that we saw. And talking about bits of drama, there is no one more dramatic in my life than Robert Barron.
Hello.
And someone who is a little bit more even-keeled. I'll give that to Kritikia Naidu. Let's start with this, Kritika. This game lived up to the hype. Not in a both teams are playing great way, but in a, what the hell are we watching on our screens way?
Yeah, exactly. There was enough drama. There was enough, suspense. It was right until the end that you didn't know who was going to actually pull through. But great game. It was quite even, Stevens, for it just going, like the momentum just kept shifting.
Yep.
Again, tale of two halves in each innings. First 10 overs versus the second half. Same thing with India, same thing with Pakistan. But great game, and it just kept everyone interested, I think, until the end. You didn't know who was the winner.
Let's start with this. India actually started that game smashing Pakistan everywhere, Rob. And that is probably, and I think we called it during the call, that was almost the difference between the two sides. Pakistan never had a period like that.
It won them the game, the power play. Pakistan bowled badly, but fielded worse. And I've said this a lot. I'll say it a lot more. If you field properly, when the games are relatively close, you'll probably win. Like the better fielding team wins most of these games that we've seen in the World Cup. And Pakistan were a complete shambles and kept dropping Pant. And Pant's innings were the difference between the two sides. So they got 50 runs off the power play, which is absolutely loads. And they got Rohit and Kohli out very cheaply, which is a huge win normally. But they let Pant come in. Axar did a good job of his, 20 off 18 is like getting 45 in some T20 games. But yeah, Pant's extremely lucky, whatever you want to say about his innings, 42 off 31, won India the game along with some very poor intent from Pakistan in the chase.
Jarrod, what would you say about, eventually it came down to 6 runs, and I feel like they gave away 6-7 runs in the field with overthrows and misfields and whatnot. And that really couldn't.
I remember one ball that was a terrible wide that they also kicked away. Although, to be fair, India did one of those as well. How many drop catches, how many half chances, how many run-outs? There was one run-out early on when Akshar Patel came out. And that Akshar Patel-Rishabh Pant partnership was so important.
Yeah.
And Akshar should have been run out by 3 meters. There was never 2 in that. And a half-decent throw. So I thought they were sloppy all the way through. Yeah. But they were it wasn't just sloppy, they were in disarray.
Yeah.
They bowled the wrong lengths, they bowled the wrong lines, they couldn't field, they couldn't catch, they couldn't throw. That's a lot of things they couldn't do.
Yeah.
I went off on Haris Rauf. It was dreadful. He got hit for 3 fours in a row. If you get hit for 3 fours in a row here, you should be bowling underrun.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely dreadful stuff, right? Then we had a drinks break.
Yeah.
Take us through what happens after the drinks break.
And then it was just carnage. Of course, like a break, even initially when there was a rain break after the first over, it brought a wicket. And the same thing happened after the mid-innings break, that there was a wicket and not just one. And then India just kept folding after that, wickets after wicket. And the momentum completely switched. Haris Rauf, he's the one that really triggered it. And he finished with pretty decent figures by the end of it. And I feel like India's, the first half really set them up because, Surya Kumar spoke of intent. He said, weather is not really in our control, nor is the pitch, but, they went with that intent. And even if it was quite difficult, they kept attacking. Pant, yes, he was pretty fortunate. But I think those runs really set them up for that collapse later. And that's pretty much why they won.
It was a moment after the drinks break where Haris Rauf hit the pads, and it was a terrible appeal that was never going to be out. He was so fired up mentally that he appealed roughly to the crowd and nowhere near the umpire. Yeah. He then wanted a review despite the fact it wasn't going to hit a ninth stomp, right? And we were making fun of him because he'd been bowling really poorly up at that point. But he just came out of that drinks break like, I'm going to win this game for Pakistan. And it wasn't him on his own because they all bowled well, but it's that great moment when you see a flock of Pakistani fast bowlers all getting into it together, Rob, and they really just changed that completely.
Yeah, they were 89 for 3 before the appealing to the wrong end from Haris Rauf, and that was the catalyst of the 119 all out. 89 for 3 off 11, with Pant 40 not out and Sky just starting to get going. they are massively under it there, and the run line got up to 170. And if they'd have scored 170, how easily would they have won this match? It would have been a
Pakistan could have batted twice.
A complete farce. And you're absolutely right. Ralph started it all by getting a Sky next ball off one that just stayed in the pitch a bit, and it was just the extra pace that flustered Sky. Then Jubei and his concrete boots came in and did nothing and just chewed up balls, and then all of a sudden they were under it, and then Naseem joined in, and then Amir joined in and got 2 in 2, and at half time nobody gave India much of a chance except us.
I was going to say I can think of some people who might have. He even said a friend of mine texted in saying the same thing, didn't he? What did he say? He had India has a 54% chance of winning. It didn't start like that though, Kritika. It started with, I think they were 6 runs off 2 balls with 2 threes.
Yeah.
And Babar Azam had a strike rate so high that I'm pretty sure he had a nosebleed.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was that uncomfortable with the way he was scoring. As an Indian, I know you're a cricket journalist, so actually you just want every game to be a tie because that's awesome. But as an Indian fan, there's a part of you going, oh, this looks easy in a way that it didn't for us, right?
Yeah, initially, yes. And that partnership really got going. They started attacking very early. They ran 3. Just imagine, like, it was back to back, and then they set them up. They set themselves up for a decent innings, and this was, kind of the match situation that Babar really thrives in. It was his, it was perfect for him. It was a great situation. But once he fell, of course, but
even before he fell, though, remember there was 2 drops.
Yeah.
So there was the simple one down at finally. Was that Dubey?
No, it was Dubey.
Dubey, yeah, you're right. And then there was the hard caught and bowled, which hit Siraj's fingers, went up in the air and could have gone anywhere, and unfortunately didn't go anywhere. So there was a point of like, oh, they're missing the balls. They're not bowling very well here. The pressure's back on. And but you look back at it, Rob, and they were 57 for 1.
For 1,
yeah. After the 10th over. But what they didn't do, and this is, I've been betting on this quite a bit on some of these tough wickets, is they never got ahead of the chase.
Yeah, and we kept saying, if it's more than a run a ball and you've still got Bumrah to bowl, India is still alive, and they just had to shuffle the pack okay. And we all thought they made questionable decisions with the bowling changes, but it ended up working out pretty much perfectly, because Naseem Shah came in today and hit 10 off 4 and was not out. And Shaheen is a lunatic with the bat, and he was not out as well. What they needed to do, Pakistan, is have somebody in the middle there.
Earlier lunacy.
That scored 15 off 8. Fakhar tried to do that. He got his 13 off 8. He was the only one that really tried to whack it. And Imad came in, and whilst his job was to knock it around, he got 15 off 23, which actually killed them. His job was to get 20 off 20 and not 15 off 23 and just chew up that many balls. Yeah. That's too high a percentage of the innings to score at strike rate 65, because it means somebody else has to score at 130. They only needed a run a ball. They had loads of resources to use, and they buggered it up.
And it's the same thing like for Aksar to come in there and he played that 20 of 18 balls. That's pretty much what Imad, they would have hoped that he would do.
Yeah, no, talking about Akshar as well. So Akshar's not far away from man of the match in this game. He's made 20 off 18, but that wicket of Usman when he came on, which was when against the run and play for a bunch of different reasons. A, it was a spin wicket.
Yeah.
B, it didn't spin. Jadeja was ragging it sideways and not getting wickets, right?
Yeah. The first LBW at the ground in 6 matches.
The first LBW in 6 matches. All these different things. But from then on in, we were starting to worry about the mass, which was, well, Arshdeep's not bowling well.
Yeah.
Pandya's not bowling well. It's not really helping spin.
Yeah.
How do they get these overs? Siraj and Bumrah can't bowl them all. But Hardik had a great comeback, and I do think that the pitch changing a little bit in that, and we saw it for both teams. So something to do with the softball really helped Hardik. Yeah. Suddenly he had his swagger, and Hardik with swagger is a different person. You want Hardik to have the full swag, right?
Yeah, and 2 for 6 after that, right? It completely changed the complexion of the game. There were dots, there was pressure building, the run rate kept increasing, and then Pakistani batters just fell into that hole that they couldn't really get themselves out of eventually.
Still, Pakistan had a huge chance of winning.
They should have won.
Mohammad Rizwan was at the crease. Jasprit Bumrah had 2 overs remaining. He came on later than what we thought, because Arshdeep and Hardik had bowled okay. got themselves back in. They got some wickets at the other end. And then Rizwan had to face the first ball from Jasprit Bumrah, Rob Barron, and he decided to slug sweep it over deep mid wicket for 6. Was he successful?
He was very unsuccessful, and he got absolutely cleaned up. They needed 40 from 36 with a 30 not out man and 7 wickets in hand, and knowing that if they saw Bumrah off, they'd be fine. And the only thing that Rizwan couldn't do was slog Bumrah, right? Everybody knows that if you slog Bumrah, you get out. But everybody knows that if you slog Bumrah on an impossible pitch, you definitely get out. So he slogged Bumrah and he got clean bowl middle stump, when if he'd have stood still, it would have been worst case dot and probably a 1. And a dot or a 1 against Bumrah at that stage is absolutely fine.
A 1 is a win.
Losing the set man against Bumrah is, oh dear, we're in panic mode. And they very quickly got into panic mode because, as we kept saying, the new bats, it was so hard for new bats, and Rizwan was the only person that wasn't a new bat, and he threw it away.
It was also a lot harder for new bats in the second part of innings. We saw that all the way. You know, Jadeja coming in first ball and going, oh, I can see this. I'll just push this on the offside, and it just taking off. Yeah. Shadab trying to play that hook shot where he's like, wait, this ball's just ballooned on me and I've hit it straight up in the air. Realistically, their only chance then from then on in was Iftikhar.
Yeah.
He got 2 full tosses that on another day, Iftikhar hits to New Jersey, which I'm assuming is near Nassau County, roughly, right? I hope I've got my geography right. At the very least, it's near New York. He missed both of those. We then had the stuff at the end. And then, as Rob said before, it was left to Naseem Shah, who actually batted beautifully at the end. And had he hit that 6 off the second last ball, it would have been a 6 to win. And instead it was what? A metre and a half short of the boundary?
Yeah. Just short.
What a brilliant effort by him. He was in tears at the end. I don't know why. He did nothing wrong in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game. Picked up 3 wickets, picked up Kohli's wicket, and then, came out and did what really Imad Wasim or Iftikhar were supposed to do. And yeah, I mean, it's natural that he'd be a little disappointed because he had a really good day. But it is what it is.
The wicket was entertaining, and we've had 2 close entertaining games. We've had wild swings. We've had a couple of terrible games because the first team has just crumbled, Rob, right?
I love it.
But there were too many times batters were hit on the hands today from balls that they should not be hit from.
Too many for you. I enjoy it myself.
You enjoy it because you're not the one who's got a bowl in the next game or wicketkeeper the next game.
Yeah, if they want me to play, I'll play.
Rob Barron is available.
I would be
for bar mitzvahs, weddings.
Very rubbish. Yeah, I can do you after the speaking.
You know what I mean, though. It's It's not a safe wicket. It was an entertaining game. We need to put both of those things in, and it's the second entertaining game we've had. We've had a couple of really boring games on this wicket.
Yeah, my favourite thing about it is we have to wait until tomorrow until we see another game at New York, and then after that one we have to wait a whole other day until we see one. We've got 2 more in the next 2 days at this ground. And I can't wait. I'm here for it. I love New York. Give me more New York pitches.
Would you say New York, New York?
Yes.
Yep. There's just one other game. Obviously, that's the game everyone's going to want to talk about. Pakistan, actually, just before we get there, Pakistan is now out. Is that it? Is there a way back? Can they come home? I know I'm asking you all this live, and we could have actually, one of us could have looked at the table beforehand.
Pakistan can quite easily go through. Because they're Pakistan, and this is when the craziness. What's the phrase, Kritika? Thank you.
You said it before. It was on the screen.
Kudrat ka nizam.
Yeah, that one. So
there's really Kudrat ka nizam the hell out of this, by the way.
When they won the Champions Trophy, they've done it a couple of times. They get themselves to ridiculous prices, like less than 1% to win the thing. And sometimes they need someone to be rained off, and then it rains, and they need someone to capitulate somewhere, and they do, and then Pakistan need to obliterate somebody that are much better than them, and they do it. So Pakistan can win. They're probably 2% to win this World Cup now, from being about 10% to win it when the tournament started. So if they're gonna win it, they're gonna do it the hard way. But they've got Canada at New York, and you'd think that they might work out roughly how to play there now. Spoiler alert, they won't. And then they'll have to play Ireland, and Ireland have been a spoiler to Pakistan in the past, as we all know, more than once.
So Pakistan is currently 40s.
Yeah, they have to win both of those games and probably have to win one of them by miles. But they're Pakistan, so I'm not going to say.
There's one thing in their
write
favour,
Pakistan off.
which is net run rate.
Yeah,
They have a very good net run rate. And Ireland hasn't won a game yet.
you would expect them to win those two matches.
Yeah.
What Pakistan like to do in these big tournaments is get themselves to a massive price and then start trying. They're probably there now. So I would expect Pakistan to be really good in the next two games. One thing you would say is their bowling attack looked a lot better today. Shaheen aside, I thought Shaheen still looked a bit bad compared to what we're used to from him. If he can, Ralph looked really good.
Imad Wasim bowled well.
Wasim was good, and they've got him back now. Naseem Shah is probably their best bowler so far.
He was fantastic.
So the batting looks crap, but the pitch has got a fair bit to do with that.
You thought today that Oman would do well against Scotland. You were wrong, and you need to apologise.
I regret nothing.
But that Scotland absolutely smashed them in the face. Scotland's net run rate at the moment is 2.164. They have 5 points after 3 games, right?
Well done, Scotland.
5 points after 3 games. England has 2 more games and can only get to 5 points. And their run rate is minus 1.8.
Today was a very bad day for England, and I don't know why there are people queuing up to back them.
You can get them at 10.5.
10 to 1, shocking price.
I would back I looked myself because I was like, I'll back them. They must be 20, 25 to 1 by now.
Yeah. Their true price, if you do all the maths, probably is nearer 20 than it is 10.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that they're defending champions and they're England and they've got all these guys that can hit it and whatever else. England are an injury away. They're playing with one injured man at least at the moment, an injury away from total disaster. Like their bowling attack is old and injured, and that's a real lay 10. So you can loop that one back when England win it in a few weeks' time. But I wouldn't back England at 10.5 with your money, Jarrod.
I had backed England a while back, so I think I got them at 8 or 9s already.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to keep that there at the moment. One last question on India. Do you feel better or worse about India's chance to win the tournament after today? And you can't say neither, but you will be punched in the face by a fish.
Better.
You feel better?
Yeah.
Because
just the fact that they could, they defended a really low score, like 119. And that just shows, that they do have the bowling. They do have the batting even. It's just that, today, they didn't bat as well as they would have wanted. But I feel like the bowlers really stepped up. And I feel like that will give them confidence that if they can, restrict or defend 119, all right.
There you have it. That was the killer, Kritikia Naidu. She will be back. Well, I say she will be back. I have no idea if she'll be free or when we're doing another game. But she's with Cricket 8. She's here and thereabouts. She's everywhere. That is the rooster, Rob Barron. He sleeps here, so he doesn't have a choice. He has to come back. I am Jarrod Kimber. We are doing podcasts all the way through this week. We have a podcast on the Indian coach situation. We have a podcast on the World Cup so far, not including these last 2 games. And we have a podcast coming up on other things that I have not yet decided with other people. That's how we do things at Cricket 8. We're random, totally random. A little bit like the pitch in New York, except we don't hurt people on their hands. I'll see you again next time. Subscribe, like, tell your mum about us.